Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Like a Hero. I released the why the Merciless is so important video yesterday. Today we're going to be talking about the build in that video. So yes, the Merciless is important, right, for the raid. We got that settled out. Now let's talk about what build you could make to benefit or to increase, I guess, the effectiveness of your Merciless build, while at the same time having an efficient and effective rifle build for the raid, so that you can take out those pesky heavies and support the team even from a distance, and prevent those wipes that do occur quite often, I would say, from seeing other raids. And another cool thing that you may not know, maybe you're just knowing this now, is that the Merciless also works on the fingerprint stations. Though that last phase of the final raid, it actually does work. You can build 5 stacks on there and blow up the stations rather quickly. And as you can see here, even though I'm supporting the other stations, because that's what you should be doing during this phase, is shooting the other stations, helping out the team, I'm able to build 5 stacks, 5 primers on the station with my Merciless, and just we DPS it down fairly quickly here, just the 2 of us.
Incredible work. You secured the airport and taken out a bunch of Black Tusk's experimental weaponry.
Alright guys, let's get into the build right now. So this is my 881. This is my rifle build that I've been using for the past couple of weeks now in the raid. Multiple completions. Just overall, I'm really happy with the build, and I love it. It's fun. So let's just get right into it. So let's talk about the gun that I'm using, the most important part. I'm using a Police MK17 with 54.8k base damage. Again, this depends on your build as well, but this is the highest rolled one that I've gone with, the highest base damage. It has a 40 round magazine in it. The talents that I'm using are Ranger, Allegro, and Stop, Drop, and Roll. I would have preferred any other one besides this. Rooted would have been cool. I mean, there's 3 other ones I would have took here. Probably Rooted. There's also if I could get a overlap on there. I mean, there's other ones that I could get on there. However, this is what I got because I had to modify Ranger, so that's what I would go with. As far as the mods go, there are times throughout the fight where I am using the EXP S3 Hollow Sight, which with 8% damage to elites. Most importantly, the final fight, when you don't really get a benefit from doing headshot damage on the Razorback. So in these situations, I rock the Hollow Sight. For the fights where I do get headshot damage for the raid, I'm using the C79 scope, which is 5% damage to elites. But even though it's less damage to elites than the Hollow Sight, it does allow for the synergy to go with the Nemesis, which is the holster talent of the Nemesis, which gives you 25% headshot damage when you're scoped in with your current weapon. So now mousing over with right mouse clicking, or aiming down sights with the that scope doesn't actually zoom you in, so you're able to stay out and still get the benefit of the Nemesis 25% headshot damage. On the front, I have a muzzle brake with 5% damage to elites. I have reload speed with the hand stop here because I think that's very important for the DPS phases. And again, I have the 20 round mag. Now I switched to the 20 round mag for the final phase for the 4th boss, Razorback, but for the other ones, I'm using a 7% headshot damage to get even more headshot. But again, this is because those weak points don't actually take headshot damage, so you're wasting headshot damage in that part, right? So for that final Razorback fight, I suggest you go with a 20 round mag, which you get from doing your dailies or your weeklies. These, you do not get this one or the 5.56 extended mag through capture points. You have to do it through the dailies and get lucky on those weekly projects as well. So that's what I use, and that's the fight. Again, remember that for Razorback, take off the C79 scope, because those weak points again do not take headshot damage, and instead use the EXP hollow sight. Okay, but for everything else in the raid, you can use the C79 scope. Now let's talk about my secondary, which is the Nemesis, and I kind of just mentioned that again. It is very good for this is a very good weapon for the fights if you want to do quick damage, especially the second boss, right? You can, with Ace you can scope in and really blow up that boss. But the Nemesis is a really good sniper rifle, but also, right, it comes down to the holster talent preparation, which is giving me in my rifle 25% extra headshot damage. And we'll talk about this again when I mention the stats page at the end. Now on this build, it is an 881 build, and for my mask I have a 43% hazard protection and 40% damage to elites with hard hitting on there. Ideally I would not be rocking this mask. Instead I would take a Murakami mask if I could get these rolls on it, because I would get more health on the one piece Murakami. But this is what I have now because it rolled super high hazard protection, and although hazard protection is not like super needed in the raid, there are some fights where the hazard protection does reduce the damage from fire, the damage from certain boss fights in there, so that's also beneficial. But this is what I would want, except on a Murakami. Now for my chest piece, I do have a Fenris, and the big reason I have the Fenris chest piece is because of the two rolls that you get, the two talent rolls that you get on the chest piece. So on this, because I am running Unstoppable Force, I have 14,000 armor, I have 20% headshot. It was the highest one I had. You can get this higher rolled, but I have 20% headshot and 8% weapon damage, near like perfect roll, right, for this build. Near perfect. The weapon damage could have been a little higher, but I modified the headshot because it had like some other, I think it had like crit chance or something on there, and it was like, you know, I don't need crit chance for this rifle build, so I was able to get that headshot and at least get more benefit from that, right? So that's what it is. Again, I'm rocking Unstoppable Force and damage to elites, hard hitting. I suggest this is what you do for all. You want to try to have hard hitting everywhere you can on this, everywhere possible. Now for the mods on here, I have a defensive protocol mod, which gives me more health. Now the cool thing here, upcoming in the patch, guys, is that after the patch this title update, the one that's in PTS right now, you're going to be able to put system mods here. So even though it's a defensive protocol mod slot, right, you're going to be able to put more system mods, and system mods are just better overall. So you're going to be able to get more like total armor percent rolls and armor rolls, which in turn is going to even increase the effectiveness of your armor of Unstoppable Force. So on the PTS, I was able to get this build with the system mods. I was able to get it to 300,000, just under 300,000, right? So like super close, I think, and that's going to benefit a lot for Unstoppable Force builds. Now on my holster, I have a one-piece Heraldi, which gives me with that blue attribute with 37,000 health and hard hitting again. Then I have an offensive mod, which again, when they go through these changes, guys, you're going to be able to put more, you're going to be able to better optimize it, because let's be honest, the system mods are just so much better than the protocol, so in my opinion. So those are the ones that you're going to want to be putting on here. But we can I'll release another video more talking about why that change is such a good change. For yes, you're losing the ability to use generic mods, right? But this is also allowing for more variety, and well, maybe not as much variety, but obviously, in my opinion, better mods in the slots that you want. So for now, I have a 3.5 headshot and a 1% weapon damage. On my backpack, I have a Hila Guard, 5% total armor, and that again, that synergizes well with the Unstoppable Force. Now it's not perfect, however, I do feel that the Hila is good because of the slots that it's going to have, right? Because of the slots that it rolled here. Now this is a defensive system mod right now, But let me talk about the talents. You're gonna want armor. You're gonna want armor roll here. This build doesn't require any yellows, so like what would be here for me is to have a armor roll, a health roll, right? So like maybe you could go total armor and then you could go a lot of health roll or whatever, and then you want to have the red for the weapon damage. Now the weapon damage is low here, and I haven't quite, I mean it's impossible. I've been farming, I've been doing loot cave, I've been farming so long, and I have not gone in the backpack that I want. But I didn't want to wait to put this video out because you can use it, you get the idea, and then you could kind of make it your own. On here it would be damage to elites, hard hitting, and efficient. Efficient's good because it makes it so that you have a 50% chance to not consume an armor kit when you use it, and because in the raid you only get 2 of them, this is a 50% chance every time, right? And I like those odds. I'll take those odds. Now again, the mods are, right now I'm using a 5% rifle, and I'm using a offensive system mod with 2% rifle damage and 2% weapon damage. Now, when the changes go through and you're not allowed to use these generic system mods here, because this is the only one I have. I don't have like other generics on here. This is the only one I have here. The change to the mod slot, so you're going to be able to put more total armor on there. And so, in fact, I think that going from 232,000, right, going to 300,000 is going to still give me, it's still going to give me 6% more damage. Right, because for every 25,000, so if right now I'm sitting at 225,000, right, that's what the calculation is for the bonus, and for every 25,000 that I get, that gives me 2% more, right? So if I go to 250, that's 2%, 275, that's 4%, and 300, that's 6% more damage. So if you think about that, if you look at it that way, right, building more armor, it's gonna make up for this 5% rifle damage, right? It's gonna go more into your weapon damage. You're gonna have 6% more weapon damage by getting to that 300,000 mark, which you could easily get by getting a armor roll here, or even just swapping out, maybe going damage to elites or going harden, right? But I recommend going damage to elites and just going for an armor roll here, 2 blues here. So that's the backpack, guys. Now the rifle, I have a 2-piece overlord, and that's to get the 7.5%. Again, remember, we're making up the loss of the rifle generic mods. We're making that up by increasing our armor to try our best to make it up as we can. Now here it rolled with a blue and a red. Ideally you'd want only a red here because you're getting capped off, right? I'm getting capped off at 9 because I have the blue. And armor regeneration, honestly, you're better off going like a health roll or something like that on there. I mean, even if it was like a hazard protection, but a health roll, and then you have the rifle damage. Again, the cap does limit you, so if you're not going to go with that, then just go with the straight. Now again, that's like a unicorn for me. I haven't been able to get just rifle damage, right? The max rifle damage, and then also go with the max rifle damage 12%, and then have it rolled with the passive so I can put hard hitting on there. I haven't found it, so we're missing some damage on there, but that's what we have for the gloves. Now on the knee pads, I have 6.5% total armor. You can get much higher than that. Again, it's all about the grind and getting lucky with those rolls, right? So a higher percent armor, I think at the highest I've seen is 8%. It might go higher than that. Let me know in the comments how high it goes. So I have 6.5% total armor, another blue to kind of go with my unstoppable here. And again, armor is good because it's putting me up there. And then hard hitting as the talent. Now on my offensive protocol mod here, I have 1.5% weapon damage, 2.5% damage, and 4% optimal range. Optimal range is not terrible. Out of all the ones that you could get, right? Optimal range, like, is pretty nice. I'd prefer like rifle damage, right? But 4% optimal range, it increases your range the faster you're shooting, which synergizes very well with the ranger talent. Now it's not the best talent to get, but it's also not the worst talent to get. So that's the build right I have. And during the raid, I run this with a revive hive and a chem launcher, and just make sure you use that cover properly. Now, another very important thing is to run, and now it has Ranger on it. We're ignoring that, guys, okay? I rarely use the sidearm. Like, in fact, I don't even use it. Like, I might use it if like I'm completely out of ammo and I'm too lazy to reload and restock, and I just use that, right, to kill like a mob or something. But the real reason this is equipped is because of In Rhythm. Now, In Rhythm is, while equipped, enemy kills have a 5% chance to refresh active skill cooldowns, and this can occur every 60 seconds. And believe it or not, 5% is low, right? But it still happens more often than not. And of all the talents that you can have on a sidearm, this is the one I recommend that you do, because you'll get your revive hat back up, you will get your heals, any cooldowns that you have, you get back. Now, if you are running a on the ropes build or something like that, then I'd recommend please do not have this up, because it will ruin your damage, right, on the ropes. But for other builds, In Rhythm is definitely a very good, out of the ones that you can get, right, it's one of the best ones, IMO. So that is the build, guys, right there. Ranger is very nice on an MK17. It's very nice in rifles. The other thing I would say is that if you don't have an MK17, right, and you want to focus more on headshot damage, you get yourself something like the Urban MDR. Now, the Urban MDR rolls with a higher base headshot multiplier, so you really have to commit to headshots for that to really like make it out and like really get maximum benefit from going to Urban MDR. However, the mag size, it rolls with such less damage that I feel like the MK17 is still the best one out of all the rifles that there are. Now, again, for the final fight for Razorback, I'm going to say this again. You can switch off and do not rock the C79, because remember, on Razorback, the weak points, they do not count as headshot damage. So you're going to want to switch over to the hollow sight for 8%. And I do recommend, like in my last video, instead of rocking the Nemesis for that last fight, you switch over to the Merciless for that last fight. And that's the build, guys. Let's look at the stats. I'm going to switch it back over so you can see what I have here on my stats page. Again, it's an 881. I have 54k weapon damage, 54,000, 111 headshot damage. My reload speed's at 30% because I am sharpshooter, and so that's why it is where it's at. Then I have 19.5% all weapon damage, 10% assault rifle damage, 41 rifle damage, and 103 damage to elites. Now, I will say though that, remember, this 111 plus 25 more because of the Nemesis, so it's looking pretty good in the amount of headshot. Now, for the all weapon damage, this is not as high as it could be, and my rifle damage is not as high as it could be. Remember, you're going to want to try to get a backpack with 2 blue rolls and a red roll here where you can now I just haven't gotten a higher backpack with higher than 7% weapon damage, so I would up that right to the max. And then here, instead of having health on kill, really you go with damage to elites, 10% more damage to elites, and then that should put you much higher on the damage to elites and the weapon damage, right? So with 10% more, I'd be at 113 damage to elites, which is really awesome for this build, and still maintaining, right, probably somewhere around 27%, sorry, not 27, yeah, no, around 27% all weapon damage if I got that backpack roll. And then again, the rifle damage would be about capped at 9, so it would definitely be 3 higher, so 44% rifle damage bonus here. So that is the build, guys. If you really are considering, like, you want to go some skill power on this, you can definitely get some you can definitely go for maybe a skill power roll here if you're really bent on getting a yellow. I just don't think skills are that important, or they're just not in a great spot right now. So really, I don't see myself using skills during the raid in the current state of the game. So this is why you try to take as much benefit as you can from getting those reds. Also, make sure one of the most important things is on that backpack, you want to try to get as high damage to elites as you can. As high damage to elites everywhere you can. Like, I would replace that right there with more damage to elites if I could on a better roll. But that is the build, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe so you're always up to date on new content that I release here on this channel, the Nothing But Skills Gaming channel. Again, I stream nightly on Twitch TV/LikeAHero, and you could jump in there. I start at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 Eastern. You can ask questions, whatever. We can talk about builds. We can talk about our ideas about the game. But definitely make sure to hit me up there. Thank you guys so much. And again, I'll keep releasing content, guys. Thank you again. And let me know what you think in the comments. I do read those comments and I do respond to those comments. So thank you guys, and I will see you guys later.